Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling, and shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today, where we'll talk about, I don't know, I feel like we want to talk a little bit about game stuff, you know? I feel like most of the time I do talk about game stuff, but even more so today, well, not really. You might be like, oh, there's stuff happening like with games you play. I mean, like, yeah, but, you know, it's not very important, I suppose. I was just browsing r/games, you know, I browse Reddit from time to time, I like to say. I don't really participate in the discussions all that often. I mean, sometimes I post stuff on there. I mean, and I have an account, Dear Darling. Is it Dear-Darling or Dear? Yeah, Dear-Darling. Sometimes I post stuff. Most of the time I don't. Oh no, I forgot to do it. Isabel's announcement thing, like welcome back everyone or something. Today is 29th of July, Friday 29th of July at 1:53 p.m. Okay, that's basically what she says. I forgot. Anyway. I was just browsing r/games because I do like Reddit because I like it as a news aggregator site. I don't really like it as a discussion site. I think it's just by the nature of the fact that the upvote system kind of like perpetuates the same sort of opinions over and over again without really much more room for a discussion. It's just by nature of the system they have in place for the discussions. I feel like there can't really be much of a balanced discussion in the first place, which make it a bit strange. But it's a very good like aggregator site for like news and that sort of thing, which is what I use it for. Especially r/games, which is very nice to get a lot of gaming news, I think. And I was just browsing on them, and two games caught my eye, which I thought were very interesting. One of them was one called Slay the Princess, which I don't know necessarily if I'll play, but I thought it caught my eye because it was an intriguing enough concept. And I was like, oh, this art style is kind of like cool. It's kind of like, maybe not Tim Burton-esque, but it's along those sort of lines where basically there's just like a princess, and it seems like it's a sort of like visual novel sort of thing, except for a plot twist. It's kind of like horror based, and I was like, how is this horror based? I mean, you keep watching the trailer and you go, oh, that's how it's horror based. And if you don't mind spoilers for like a 30-second, like minute-long trailer or whatever, it seems to be some sort of like time loop visual novel thing, like playing off the idea of visual novels, playing through a story mode, clicking different dialogue options to get like a different ending. Except for this time, the princess you're talking with, one, she's incredibly evil and wants to like murderize you, and two, she remembers, it seems like, what you clicked through previous iterations, and whenever you restart the game, it's not truly a restart from a fresh slate. It's sort of like it has memory, I suppose, from what you've done before. I assume, at least that's kind of how I'm predicting the mechanics go, but it's certainly based around that time loop. And the princess is like some sort of eldritch monstrosity. It has a really cool effect at the end where the screen basically shatters and it shows like all her different, I'm not really sure what to call them, like personas or forms, where like she's like an eldritch monster, she's like a werewolf in one. It's very horrifying to a certain degree, and apparently it's got this lovely narration going over top, and I'm like, that seems like a very interesting game. Am I going to play it? Maybe, I don't know, I don't really know. I wouldn't put money on me playing it or anything. Possibly if, you know, if and when I start streaming, it'll be one of those sort of games which I sort of add to the list of check out for like an hour or something. Who knows? But I do have a lot of games on itch.io in the first place to actually check out at some point. But the other one, which is rather popular, which you might have heard about if you sort of follow the video gaming news, is the person who created Katamari Damacy. I forget his name. Actually, I've still got Reddit open. Let's see if I can see the name. Keira Takahashi, the creator of Katamari Damacy, which, if you don't know, is a very old game. Well, I'll talk about Katamari Damacy in a sec. Has revealed the next game that he's creating. I assume he, but I don't actually know. Called Uvula, which, you know, I clicked on because I was just like, what on earth? It's just you don't know what Uvula is. It's that hanging thing at the back of your throat. You know, that sort of teardrop fleshy part, which I don't really know what it's for. Uvula, what's it for? Well, helps prevent food and liquid from going up your nose when you swallow. Fair enough. You would have thought you might need more than a little bit of a uvula to really stop, but I don't really know. Hold on. What's this? Keira Takahashi, who I essentially know nothing about. What? Katamari. Oh, Keita Takahashi. There's a typo in this There's a typo in this thing. Oh, he also made Watam. That makes perfect sense now I think about it. I remember seeing Watam ages ago and thinking, oh, that looks exactly like Katamari Damacy. That makes perfect sense. Anyway, if you don't know, Keita Takahashi is kind of well known for creating these very sort of, I'm not going to say weird games. Maybe like whimsical is a better word. They're very sort of like flights of fantasy sort of S games, and Katamari Damacy is, I think, the most famous one that he's created, which I think I've played like a demo of it on the DS or something, which is weird. I don't know if it's even released on the DS. I think it was something which was like in a bundle of another game, and I played for a little bit. Oh no, you know what I did? I played a bit of it. I can't remember where I was. I was on holiday somewhere. I think it was a school trip holiday to France? Or maybe I was in Switzerland. Or maybe... it was a holiday to both. I didn't know where I was exactly. It was a history trip to you learn more about World War II. It was actually a very interesting trip. I'm not gonna lie. But we were like at the shopping centre, which had like a game area sort of like on display. They had loads of different things. I think they actually had like a VR setup, which was crazy back then because I was in primary school back then. I didn't even know how widespread VR particularly was back then. But this like massive shopping centre had a little bit, and I remember they had a PSP sort of like it probably wasn't PSP, it was probably the PS Vita at that point. Actually, was PS Vita released at that point? Anyway, I don't really remember. I had Katamari Damacy on it and playing on it, and I played it for a little bit. And basically, what you do is you're playing as this little. I don't really know what he is. I think he's a battery or something. Anyway, you're this weird shaped creature. Like all the creatures in Katamari Damacy are very strange and whimsical, sort of fantastical. You like plucked straight out of like a children's book or something like that. And you roll around this very sticky board, which is kind of like shaped like those. I don't know, like a sea urchin of some sort, like a cartoon sea urchin. Like those enemies in Super Mario or whatever. And you sort of like roll it around and things sort of stick to it, and the general point of the game is to sort of roll the board around and get things stuck to it to increase the mass of it. And then I don't really know what happens or why you do that. I think you're doing it for like your father in game, but I don't really know what the motivation is behind it. I think it's meant to be like a tribute or a present. Sorry, my hair's being a bit weird. Well, my hairband is like slowly slipping down and it's like pinching my hair and it feels very uncomfortable, so I'm sort of just trying to reshape it up again. There we go, hold it up. You might be like, oh, ow, 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 ow. I don't know what I just did there, but that was quite painful. You might be like, maybe your hairband slips all the time is because you keep fiddling with it. That's probably very true, but it also might be the fact I have a lot of hair, so it ends up sort of being weighed down a little bit. Okay, I think that should be okay for now. And it's a very sort of like a whimsical, it's a very fun, light-hearted nature of a game where you're just sort of. It's kind of sandboxy where you're just sort of rolling things around. You're not doing things much. You don't need much precision or something in the game. It's very sort of open-ended. It's very. I'm not going to say it's creative necessarily. It's not like you have freedom of creative expression or anything, but it's more like you just can do whatever you want. It's just very relaxing, is perhaps the better way to put it. It's entirely a vibe, is how I describe it, and it's got some very like fun and catchy and cute music. I'd say. And it's just like a very unique experience, I'd probably say, and we're unfortunately not going to get all the star fragments on this, but that's okay. We already got quite a few, I think, of all of them. The thing we're missing most of the days now is recipes. Yeah, it's very whimsical, is how I describe it, and it's oddly relaxing, I suppose, just sort of walking around, rolling things up. You like roll over a bench, and it sort of like picks up into your like amassing, snowballing pile that you've got going on. We don't really need to pick up these star fragments. I guess we could pick them up to sell them. It's not like we really need star fragments anymore. We don't even make most of the star things, despite the fact the Zodiac furniture very cool. And yeah, it's just a very sort of like fun jaunt is how I describe it, that entire game. Anyway, yeah, he created a load of other sort of very sort of weird and whimsical games. I'm not particularly familiar with them because I haven't played any of his other ones. I've seen someone play a decent amount of Watam, which I don't even know how I'd describe Watam, except for it's basically like a friend simulator, maybe is how I describe it. Oh my gosh. Like an open end, like imagine if you sort of like made Pikmin and combined it with like a sandbox sort of thing, where basically you know what it's exactly like. It's like those old Flash games you used to play online. Those like the Grow series, like Grow Cube, etc., etc., etc. It's kind of like those, except for less like a puzzle, it's more like a sandbox, where you basically just sort of mess around with things and then you create new like characters and they become your friends, or etc., etc. by doing weird stuff. Like I'm trying to think. Like there's I really can't think. It's been ages. Like, I think there's like a seed. There's some like seed friends you make, and then later on you make like water friends or whatever, and you can put like combine the water with a seed, and you get like flower friends or whatever, and then flower friends attract like bee friends to come and something like that. And it's basically all about making all these new like fantastical, very strange creature friends, and it's all very happy, very cheerful. It's a very feel good sort of game, I suppose. It's sort of like, how can you stay mad at it? It's so like so whimsical. It's basically like a children's book, but a children's video game. But I mean, not to say it was necessarily designed for children, but children could certainly enjoy it because it's so like it's so just like, I don't know, it's so cushy in a sense. I don't really know how to describe it. Certainly maybe nowadays children find it a little bit boring, but but I feel like certainly adults can, you know, buy into it as a sort of like a flight of fancy, you know, a whimsical sort of nostalgic. I get, yeah, maybe that's why it's got sort of like a whimsical nostalgia to it, despite the fact it's creating a sort of longing for a sort of genre which doesn't exist apart from by his own creation. At least that's my sort of assumption. And to be fair, I didn't play it firsthand, so who actually knows? I just sort of am aware of it, and it seems super fun. Yeah, but there's a lot of like whimsical sort of like, I'm not sure what these sort of games are called, you know? This is where you go to Google and see what is defined as Katamari Damacy. Na 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 na. It's got very catchy tune and or like a melody. It's theme song, which I don't really remember off the top of my head, to be honest. It's counted as a puzzle action. Interesting. But there's a lot of not dogs. What? There's a lot of games like this. The one I was thinking of is like, is it called Wobble Dog? Oh, Wobble Dog is not what I'm thinking of. This is a game a friend was playing where it's sort of like you breed together very wild and whimsical dogs. I suppose it's in that sort of same genre, but instead of being like a ball rolling puzzle game, it's more like a breeding sort of. Well, I say breeding sandbox, maybe pet raising simulator. Perhaps that's a better way to put it. This is not the game I was thinking of. I'm trying to think of a game. Oh, it's called like Ollie Nolly or something. Which also, now I think about it, might be another Keita Takahashi game. I should just look at his games and see which ones they are. Nobby Nobby Boy, is that it? Yeah, oh, this is actually what I was thinking of. I didn't realise it's called Nobby Nobby Boy. What's this one called then? Nobby Nobby Boy Girl, that's not what I meant. It's a game about becoming longer for some reason. I don't really know much else why. Genre action? What? There needs to be like. I feel like most people will call it like casual, as its sort of genre. Casual just sort of meaning like it doesn't have necessarily much in the way of an aim. It's a sort of like vague what you exactly do. There is not necessarily there is an aim perhaps, but there's not like any pressure to complete it. I guess you know, like sort of like casual simulations of game. I mean, kind of, not in the sense of like Animal Crossing, but I mean Animal Crossing is sort of very much like a not fantastical, but like a watered down, comfy version of reality. While this is more like a comfy version of fantasy, I suppose is probably how I describe it. It's so like out there, weirdly mystical, but it's very enticing all the same. And I suppose part of the reason it's even so popular in the first place is, one, obviously it's quite niche, but two, it's quite sort of counterculture to like the general sort of vibe of video games have in the first place. It's probably doubly so when the game Katamari Damacy first came out. It's so weird and wonderful and wacky and has essentially no stakes in it whatsoever compared to like other games which have like high action, high octane, like invested stories and characters, etc, etc, etc. Having a game so devoid of that, I suppose, in the first place, must have been very enticing in its own right, I think. Must have been. Ow! I'm messing with my hair again. It keeps pinching this. I don't know what it's for. It's obviously pinching my hair, but I don't know how it's pinching it. Or if I just move a clip like this. There we go. And then maybe I'll move this one to be a bit more like this. Pin it down. You might be like, the answer surely is you need to put more bobby pins in your hair, and I think that probably is the answer, but alas, I don't do that. Now it feels like it's pinching again. Maybe if I pull my hair a little bit, it'll sort of loosen up. I don't know how this has happened. It was perfectly fine when I first did it. But, you know, therein is the way of doing your hair. Oh my god, it's still pinching. Such a nuisance. I apologise for doing it in the middle of an Animal Crossing episode, but you kind of expect it by now, I'd assume. There we go, does that feel a bit better? I think it's just because I have so much hair in this button. It's quite heavy, so it sort of weighs it down a little bit. And thus makes it feel rather uncomfortable at times. I don't know, maybe I should go grab another bobby pin. Oh well, who cares? Maybe I'll just redo the button at some point. Who knows? I think it's fine for now, probably. it does feel a bit heavy. But yeah, it's so like sort of counterculture to the general consensus of what, you know, games really are, especially about. I'd imagine around that sort of time is when things like Call of Duty were certainly at its prime, or be sort of like action adventure games with like sort of rugged protagonists, you know, being very rough and tumble, like bad guys shooting with guns, etc. Very sort of like not grimdark, but very sort of like dark, gritty. Gritty is a word I want. Reality, having something so just like completely on the other side of the spectrum, just completely on the other end of the scale, of just so like fluffy and whimsical and colourful and cute and safe. Must have been certainly rather enticing, I would imagine. Like, what? I mean, things which are niche certainly have a certain appeal just by nicheness alone. But when it's niche in a way which is so counter to, I suppose, the current trends, it sort of like elevates it a little bit, doesn't it? Oh my god, my hair is just, you know what? We're gonna sit here and I'm gonna redo my hair in the middle of this episode because it's really annoying. I apologise. It's actually just coming apart, probably because I'm fiddling with it too much. But yeah, there's a lot of games I feel like we sort of try and tap into that sort of essence nowadays, isn't it? These sort of like very open-ended, whimsical sort of games, which, you know, you would have thought they'd be completely up my alley with how much I like sort of like to fancy whimsicalness, etc., etc. But I don't really play them, or very often. I suppose having the lack of goal that a lot of these games end up having ends up being quite discouraging in a certain degree. And you might find that surprising because it's games which are very popular, which I'd bet other people would bet I would absolutely adore and love, just never like quite clicked with me in the same way it seems to click for other people. One of the games is certainly Stardew Valley, I think, which might surprise you. Because you might be like, Stardew Valley has a lot of overlap with Animal Crossing. It's got a very sort of casual, simulated lifestyle, etc., etc., making money, and, you know, it's character-based, and it's all about, you know, just having a good time. There's a lot of sense of efficiency in it as well. It basically sounds like my sort of game to a T, but for whatever reason, you know, Stardew Valley, it just didn't grip me. And I've tried multiple times to play through it. I've played a little bit of it solo, and that sort of thing. That didn't grip me. I played a little bit with one of my very good friends, who's played a decent amount of it as well, and, you know, while I think it's nice, again, it didn't like super grip me or anything. It was more of a fact I was spending time with my friends, which I found it very enticing, I suppose, in the first place. And when I played with a group of in a group of 4 with people who have played a decent amount of it before, by then I suppose I think I was getting quite sort of not watered down of it, but it was nice in a sense, but I didn't have to basically interact with any other systems that I didn't particularly want to interact with. That's kind of what happens when you play with such a large group of people. I mean, it's kind of why like big teams are a good idea, so then everyone could do their own specialist thing, and I just ended up fishing for all of it at a point which at that point I was sort of just like, I don't know why I'm necessarily playing Stardew Valley if all I'm going to do in it is fish. And not to say Stardew Valley's a bad game, it's obviously a very good game, and it's very well beloved by a lot of people. It just, I don't know, it just never quite clicked for me. And Animal Crossing really is the only sort of like casual simulator-esque game which I think did click for me. But I think a lot of the reason it clicks for me in the first place is just due to nostalgia. I'm going to be honest. I don't think, if I didn't play it so much when I was younger, I think there's a decent chance that, you know, I probably would have never even bought New Horizons, which is weird to think about, you know, looking at the situation now, where, you know, I've played it for like 850 days or something in a row. Oh, well, not quite in a row, but, you know. 850 episodes. There we go, that's feeling a bit better. I give it about an hour before it slips down again. About 850 days or so. And don't get me wrong, I think Animal Crossing is lovely, it's relaxing, but probably, you know, if I wasn't doing this YouTube series, I don't think I'd be playing it right now. to be perfectly honest. The whole reason I'm playing it nowadays is basically just to have it as a sort of open talking simulators rather than a walking simulator. It's a talking simulator for me personally, and that's what I like to do. You know, it's a nice way to sort of like have a break, have a relax. You know, after, you know, if you have a busy day or whatever, this is a good way to sort of relax and unwind. It's just by, you know, talking about whatever you want. I won't say that it's relaxing every single day. Some days it's quite annoying because some days, you know, the conversations just aren't flowing, and, you know, it's difficult to always make it work out. So sometimes it gets quite difficult in that sense. But yeah, sorry, let me have a bit of a sip of water. But yeah, they're sort of like very casual, relaxing, open-ended games. I don't know, I've never had a strong draw to play them. But there's others in recent days which I'm trying to think of, but I can't think of off the top of my head. So let me just Google like games like Katamari Damacy. Games like Watam? No, it's just a load of Katamari Damacy games. There's Okami's on it, which is a bit strange, but I thought that's rather different. Donut Country. That sounds like a familiar one, right? Yeah, Donut Country, like Untitled Goose Game. Although they're sort of intriguing in their own right to me. Oh my god, my hair's pinching. I don't know what I've done. One of these bobby pins I put in is pinching something in my hair, and it's very uncomfortable. I think, oh, there we go. I think I fixed it. No, I didn't. What if I just loosen it a little bit? Which is exactly how it fell apart last time, I think, but something is just not right. I should really find a different hairstyle to do rather than this one, maybe, but or I should just not be lazy and actually put more hairpins in my hair. You know what? Grab my little bag of bobby pins. Let's put a couple more pins in my hair, just so it holds it up. It might be it's because there's not enough bobby pins holding up the amount of hair I got. What on earth happened here? The amount of hair I've got going on, which is making it difficult. It's sort of being held down. It's sort of being weighed down quite a lot rather than being necessarily held up. So let's try and do this. Let's put a few more bobby pins in. 1, 2, maybe we'll put 2 more in. I don't know. Might be overdoing it, you might say. I don't even know where I could put this bobby pin in. There's not a lot of space anymore. Put this one over here. This gives me sort of energy of when I did that Animal Crossing video where I was literally just painting my nails. The entire thing. I don't know if this feels better or worse. I feel like this just put more things in my hair. If anything, it's heavier. Oh, ow, 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 ow. Something is not right there. I don't know what I've done. What have I done? Anyone out there just like a hairstyle expert? What have I done? Why is this all pinching? I think it's because of the way some of these are crossing over. Oh god. I'm gonna absolutely ruin my bun at this point. Is that better? Ow. Why is this so painful? You know what? I'll just do it again after I finish recording this episode. We only got 7 minutes left anyway. Okay, this actually hurts, so I'm actually gonna like... what is going on? Hold on. Let me pause and sort out my hair rather than just doing it in a video. Okay, there we go. I think, properly. At least it feels a bit more stable now, but I suppose that will sort of make itself evident later, or not. It's raining. Is there a rainbow? It's not. I don't know why I don't know. It's very cloudy. What are we talking about? We're talking about a very sort of like whimsical games. Maybe that's why I should start to try and find more of them. I don't know country. I don't even know. Has it been released? Is this the same people who made Untitled Goose Game, or is it different? It feels very similar in feel, or maybe it's not the same. I don't know. World, Garoga, Telling Lies. What Remains of Edith Finch. I don't know if I guess What Remains of Edith Finch is kind of whimsical, isn't it? It's more of a walking simulator, I suppose, rather than anything else. But it's sort of like I don't know. I quite like What Remains of Edith Finch though. I feel like it's very Oh, not thought-provoking. Well, I mean, yes, thought-provoking, but that's not the word I want. Evocative, I suppose, of like certain emotions. Read it pitsy through. It's a very interesting story. I remember I played it, I had a great time. You know, some of my friends played it. University, they had a good time. I think maybe I don't really remember if they had a good time or not. I was in bed to see the end of it because unfortunately I had to leave like partway through them playing it, but it was a nice time anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really play all that many particularly whimsical games. I don't think. Like, what's the most whimsical game I've played? I mean, apart from the tiny demo of Katamari Damacy, which honestly really wasn't that much. You know what? Have I finally remembered to move the spinning wheel such that it doesn't block the entrance anymore, so I can finally show my Animal Crossing villagers that I've got a photo hanging up on my wall. I don't know if they pay attention. I know they pay attention to it. I don't know if they pay attention to it if it's on my wall. Well, this is something I should have done quite a while ago. If I have done it. Okay, good job, me. And I do have Fawna's photo on the wall there, who was the last person we got a photo for. Yeah, I don't know. Whimsical adventures, I suppose. Whimsy games. Loki. What one of is this? Don't know. Whimsical quest. Ellie. Whimsy. Cute and whimsical games. I don't know. They're not really what I'm looking for. Any list which doesn't have Katamari Damacy on, I feel like is not. Wholesome games Steam curator. Maybe this is sort of what I'm looking for. Like modern ones. Kaiju. It's a kaiju dating simulator or something. What on earth is this? Is it? It kind of looks like rock, paper, scissors. I don't really know what that is. Blanc. This looks beautiful, whatever this art style. Whatever this is. An artistic cooperative adventure that follows the journey of a wolf cub and a fawn. You know what? Let's add this to my wish list. I'm curious about it. The Wholesome Direct is one of my favourite directs as well, because a lot of the games I'm particularly ended up being quite interested in. But let's add this to my wish list and Blanc. Add to your wish list. I don't know, I guess like things like Human Fall Flat, which I have played, but mainly because you play it with friends. Wobbly Life or whatever. Haven't played. Slime Rancher. Slime Rancher again, it just didn't draw me in. Probably that has more similarities with Stardew Valley, which is why. Frog's Tale? That seems pretty cute. What is this? I feel like this is on my wish list already. Is this on my Frogs? Not Frog Song, Frogs. A Frog's Tale? Is that it? Add to your wish list. It looks very adorable. It looks anime inspired as well, which is exactly what I like. But anyway, I guess I'll round off this episode here. I don't know what. I'm trying to think of the most whimsical game I've ever played. I can't really think of anything particularly whimsical I played, but I'm sure there is some. But anyway, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Any likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Join me Dear Darling Discord. Follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.